or no? Oh, okay. I'll have to find another place tomorrow onwards. Let me see. Okay. Of course, they have a Wi-Fi, but that was not so strong. So that's why I shifted to a Geo network, which is showing full strength. So what I was stating is that Srila Vishwanath Thakur's commentary is very, very unique because he is the Purva. He raises a doubt and he himself answers it, by which, the flow of the verses from one verse to another verse, one chapter to another verse, that whole link, and connection, Haribol, is the voice breaking? Is it only coming from my side, or if somebody's network is also not so good, it can happen? Is the voice really breaking or is it clear? Okay, now it's okay. Let me get the. I have a good mic here. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Is it okay? Okay. Yeah, it's in between breaking. Oh, I'll have to. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it breaks because this is a closed room. Maybe I'll have to find another place tomorrow. Let us see. There are mixed opinions about it. Okay. So Vishnu Chandra Thakur presents the doubt and then he himself answers it. And by that, the whole thread of thought of continuity of the flow of the verses becomes very clear from one verse to another verse and from one chapter to another chapter. So that's very unique in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Thakur. And another thing is about Vishwanath Thakur, he goes into the inner intention of the Gita, how Krishna, what is going on in Krishna's heart and what is going on in Arjuna's heart. He brings out that in the form of a dialogue, inner conversation. And that is also very unique of Srila Vishwanath Thakur. He's the only Acharya who brings out this. Even Baldev Vidyabhushan, has a different style in his commentary, but this is Vishwanath Thakur's style. His commentary, Saratvarshini, showering the real meaning, likewise reveals a sweetness not found in other commentaries. So I was mentioning, he goes into the inner meaning of, or the inner intention of what is going on in Krishna's heart and what is going on in Arjuna's heart, and that is in the form of a dialogue, and that brings out the sweetness, which we'll see very soon. His commentary explains the Gita from the perspective of pure bhakti, defined by Srila Rupa Goswami, and emphasizes the sweetness and mercy of Krishna above all else. So, if you see, again, I'll not go into more detail. Maybe some other time we will discuss. Although Srila Vishnu Thakur's, Shiksha disciple is Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, and although his spiritual master had written a commentary, that is the Sarat Varshini, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan wrote himself a commentary called as the Gita Bhushan. And interestingly, he did not refer anything from his spiritual master's commentary. Both the commentaries are completely from a different perspective because Srila Vishwanath Thakur is, relishing the sweetness of Krishna. And he is giving his commentary based on the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, that is Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. And although there is sweetness, we should also understand it is also philosophical. Whereas Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan in his commentary is trying to establish how Krishna is the absolute truth. He is giving the Siddhantic perspective. He is trying to establish the Krishna as the absolute truth, and that's why, and his audience are the Vedantic audience, or those are the followers of Vedas, the Vedic audience, who will accept Praman from the Vedas, especially the Upanishads. So you can see in Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary, you will only see, in his commentary, the references are from the Upanishads. Whereas Vishwanath Thakur in his commentary gives, references from the Srimad Bhagavatam and especially from the Uddhav Gita many times. Whereas those who are the followers of Veda, especially the four Vedas, they don't accept the evidence from the Puranas. They consider the evidence from the Upanishads as Praman Made, Shruti Praman Pradhan. So they consider like that. So his audience are the Vedantic audience because he's trying to establish the Sampradaya, that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is a bona fide Sampradaya, and he's trying to establish how Krishna is the absolute truth. So his audience are different and his purpose is different. Whereas Rup Goswami's audience are the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and he's presenting from the perspective of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, and he's relishing the sweetness of Krishna and he's expressing that in his commentary. That's why it's very unique. Though the first six chapters, through the first six chapters of Gita, he presents Nishkama Karma Yoga. I'll explain this in the form of chart after this discussion happens. Through the second six chapters, he presents Bhakti Yoga, and through the third six chapters, he presents Gyan Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is placed between Karma and Gyan Yoga because of its confidential nature, because of its superiority by which it is able to give life to the other two, and because of its being most rare. So if you see Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's perspective of the Gita or the approach to the Gita, for him, actually, he presents everything as bhakti. The first six chapters, the middle six chapters, and the last six chapters. So he presents, I'll come to that a little bit, let this be over. So being placed in the middle, it is not so obvious. The Bhakti Yoga, which is in the middle chapters, since it is in the middle, it touches upon the other two. If Bhakti Yoga is not placed in the middle, then it will not give life to karma and jnana. Karma without an element of bhakti is useless. Karma on its own cannot give the fruits. There has to be a bhakti element within that karma. Tapasvino dana para yashasvino manasvino sumangala hemam na vindanti vidaya darpanam tasmai subhadra shavase namo nama. Sukdev Goswami saying, if you are performing tapasya, mantra Vedas, reading the Vedas, but if you are not offering it to the Lord, shemam na vindanti vidaya darpanam. So only karma cannot bear any results. Karma has to be mixed with an element of bhakti. Then it can bhakti to jnana. Path called as pure karma or pure jnana path. There is a mixture of bhakti in both these paths, and that's why the bhakti element within these two paths gives karma results. And being placed in the middle, it is protected by the properties of either side. Because these were useless without bhakti, only by being mixed with bhakti, they do become. So that's what I made the point. There are types of bhakti, pure bhakti, and pradhani bhuta bhakti, a process predominated by bhakti. The first is independent and strong. So Kevala Bhakti is called as Ananya Bhakti, the term used in the Bhagavad Gita, or Shuddha Bhakti. Rupa Goswami uses the Bhagavad Uttama Bhakti, Laghu Bhakti, Kinchana Bhakti. All these mean the same. Without the mixture of karma and jnana, it is pure and powerful. It is known by such terms as Ananya Bhakti and Akinchan Bhakti, other name of Bhakti, Shakti, and Kevala Bhakti. The second type is mixed with karma and jnana. All of this will be described later in the text. Now, drawing for you. So you can see here the first six chapters, Karma Yoga. So from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Thakur's perspective, everything is bhakti. Note. You have to switch off the video for better audio. Okay, let us see now. Is it better now, Haribol? I'm using a very high quality audio mic. Is it better, Haribol? No. Some are saying yes. Okay, I'll take out the mic. How about now? Is it clear? I'm using another mic. Okay, so this is better then. So according to Srila Vishnu Thakur, everything is bhakti, but the first six chapters present what is called as Guni Bhuta Bhakti. And the middle six chapters, there is a Kevala Bhakti presented and also Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. You will all become familiar with these terms as we study the Bhagavad Gita. Don't worry about it right now. So, bhakti within the modes, karma, jnana, and in fact, this jnana is initially explained in the fifth chapter, the third chapter, and all, but elaborated further in the last six chapters. Okay. So, the first six chapters, it's called as Guni Bhut Bhakti, a process in which bhakti is a secondary element. That's why it's called as Guni Bhut Bhakti. So, the first six chapters deal with Sakama Karma, where the goal is Swarga. Then, Nishkama Karma, Nishkama Karma Yoga, where the goal is the purification of the heart and by which you attain Jnana. So, when Nishkama Karma Yoga matures, then one becomes Sthita Pragya, and then he can take up to the path of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, which is dealt in the fifth and the sixth chapter. And the goal is liberation, moksha, nirvana moksha. So this is called as Guni Bhakti Bhakti. Now, as Vishwanath Chakra Thakur mentioned, he is presenting his Gita based on Kevala Bhakti definition, that is Anyavilasha, which will lead to Golok. But there is another bhakti which is called as Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, in which bhakti is the principal component, mixed with karma or jnana. That is why it is called as Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. All this will lead to Prema and Shanta and Dasras in Vaikuntha. So this Karma Mishra Bhakti is discussed in 7.16. This is also discussed in 7.16. This is discussed in the 7.16 verse and further elaborated in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, this is on the commentary starting with the theme of Gita. Let me offer my respects to Lord Bhakti. By its mercy resides within Gyan and other processes to a small degree in order to bring about success in those processes. In the last six chapters of Gita, Gyan mixed with Bhakti is delineated. Gyan mixed with Bhakti. Within these six chapters, Kevala Bhakti is also shown indirectly to be supreme. So, although in the middle six chapters, Jnana mixed with Bhakti is, explained, but it also will show how, Bhakti Yoga is superior. It establishes the superiority of Bhakti Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga is supreme. It is coming up in the 15th chapter, in the 13th chapter, all that. Of course, our goal is not to only study the first six chapters. After these first six chapters are over, then we'll start the middle six chapters and the last six chapters. In the 13th chapter, the body where Jiva and Paramatma reside, the practice of Gyan, the Jiva and Prakriti is described. In the middle six chapters, it was mentioned that by Kevala Bhakti, one attains the Lord Bhagwan, and the three other methods of worship, starting with the worship of oneself, were then described. So there is Kevala Bhakti described in the middle six chapters, and there is Mishra Bhakti also, which was described in the middle six chapters. Liberation arising from Gyan mixed with Bhakti practiced by followers of Nishkama Karma Yoga and the process of Gyan were briefly described in the first six chapters. So, this Nishkama Karma Yoga definitely is discussed in the second chapter and the third chapter. And the process of Jnana by which you can attain liberation is elaborated in the fifth chapter, but more detail is actually given in the last six chapters. The third six chapters explain this Gyan in detail by first examining the field and the knower of the field. So this Gyan is more details discussed. The process of Gyan by which one attains liberation, where there is bhakti element, is elaborated from 13 to 18 chapters. At the same time, how bhakti is supreme to jnana is established. So the process of knowledge, jnana, and the object of knowledge, gya, because these are the terms in the 13th chapter. So this is, a brief overview. So in one sense, we might say that the first six chapters deal with Karma Yoga, the middle six chapters deal with the Bhakti Yoga, the last six chapters deal with Jnana Yoga. And if you see, in the Bhagavad Gita, actually Krishna is only speaking about Bhakti Yoga, but is establishing how Karma Yoga is superior, how Bhakti Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga, how Bhakti Yoga is superior to Jnana Yoga, how Karma Yoga ultimately leads to Bhakti Yoga. Because by performing Nishkam Karma Yoga, one can take up to Gyan and then Ashtanga. Who is the highest yogi? Yogi Namapi Sarvesham Madgaten Antaratma. So the topmost yogi is the Bhakti Yogi. So how Karma Yoga leads to Bhakti Yoga? And then if you see in the last six chapters, firstly, how Gyan Yoga leads to Bhakti Yoga and how Bhakti Yoga is superior to Gyan Yoga is also established. Even in these last six chapters, Krishna, how one transcend the modes. Mamcha vicharena bhakti yogena sevate. It's only by bhakti. So the superiority of bhakti is also established even in the last six chapters. So in that sense, uh, you know, what Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita is he is extolling the glory of bhakti, but especially, he's extolling the glories of Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti. And in fact, in the middle six chapters, he he does a very interesting thing. He, distinguishes between Bhani Bhakti Bhakti and Kevala Bhakti, and how Kevala Bhakti or Anand Bhakti is related to Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti. And there are other varieties which will come when we go to the middle six chapters. So like that, he will be establishing. Okay, so today we will just briefly start with the Bhagavad Gita. But any questions you have on the introduction, then I can take up. Any questions you have up till now, what we have discussed? Sorry for the internet connection is not so good here in this new place. I thought they'll have a good broadband. I'll have to figure out tomorrow. I'll definitely do that tomorrow. Sridhar Swami wrote also a commentary on the Gita, which is quite short and uh, Sridhar Swami was coming in the Vishnu uh, Rudra Sampradaya. I don't recollect now. Vishnu Swami, in that Sampradaya he was coming. And Sridhar Swami had a basic, that time Mayavad was prevalent. So he put a slant of Mayavad into his presentation of the Gita, but his purpose was to attract the Mayavadis. So that was, that's what was Sridhar Swami's commentary. It's also very unique. And in the Bhagavatam, he did not do that because Bhagavatam is, extolling pure bhakti. But his Gita commentary has a slant of Mayavad. And it's not that he's, a proponent of Mayavad, but he wrote this so that he can attract the Mayavadis to study his Gita commentary so that, they can understand the true purpose of the Gita. So that's the reason he wrote like that, his commentary. It's also available, but generally, we Gaudiya Vaishnavas stick to basically Prabhupada's commentary. Prabhupada's commentary is for us, the most important, at least 10-15 years, we should study it thoroughly many, many times. And then to relish more the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, then, taking the blessings of our spiritual preceptors, we should study even the Acharya's commentaries. Okay, any other questions anyone else has about this introduction? Any other questions, clarifications? Okay, so we will begin now with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. For your kind information, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has not commented on any of the verses in the first chapter. So there is no commentary. In the second chapter onwards, he will comment at few places in few verses. But his commentary is also a little unique because he again more classifies, analyzes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, gives a more deeper insight into Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, which we will see as we study the Gita. Okay. So, chapter 1, Observing Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. This is the title Srila Prabhupada gave. Baldev Vidabhushan titles this as Shaina Darshan. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a title called as the Arjuna Vishad Yoga. And that is also the title given in the Gita book, which we recite from the Gita press, Arjuna Vishad Yoga. So the Arjuna Vishad Yoga begins from 26 to 46, the lamentation of Arjuna, seeing uh, his relatives on the battlefield being put in illusion by Krishna. So based on the second section, the title is Arjuna Vishad Yoga, and based on the first title, Sainya Darshan, Observing the Armies. So either way, both acharyas have their different perspectives, as I mentioned. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is taking this Arjuna Vishad Yoga, and there is a reason. Okay, so we'll start. धृतराष्ट्रवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेताः युयुत्सव मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किम कौरवत Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjaya, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? Kim Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kurvata, having gathered Samaveta with the desire to fight, Yuyutsava at Kurukshetra, the place of Dharma. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetra." So this Anvaya is done based on Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also does the word-to-word meaning, which is also unique. And we will also look into where all Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given his word-to-word meaning as it comes up. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti commentary, how did Arjuna become bewildered and fall into ignorance? I know it mentioned that from time immemorable, Anadi Avidya, beginningless ignorance it is. The jiva has fallen into this material world and he's always in bewilderment and illusion. So this bewilderment and illusion, how did Arjuna become bewildered? This is a question. I mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is, way of style of writing commentaries by Purva Paksha, by putting a doubt, and he himself answers. The speaker of the Mahabharata, Vaishampayan, started explaining the topic to Janmejay in the Bhishma Parva with the following words. So we know that the Mahabharata, actually the Bhagavad Gita, is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And this is the most innermost loop. And then there is the loop of the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. And in the outermost loop, it is a conversation between Janmajay and Vaishampayan Rishi. And Vyasdev is sitting there. Although Vyas compiled the Mahabharata, the Mahabharata was first time spoken by Vaishampayan Rishi to Maharaj Janmajay in that Sarpa Yagya. And that conversation which happened between Vaishampayan and Janmajay is available to us in the form of, Vyasdev's Mahabharata. So in the Bhishma Parva, I think 25 to 42 chapters consist of the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra, please tell me what my sons, Mamaka, headed by Duryodhan, and the sons of Pandu, Pandavas Shaiva, headed by Yudhishthira, were doing, having gathered together for fighting at Kurukshetra. Jujutsu, Kim, you know, Dhritarashtra is himself saying that they have assembled to fight, but he's asking what did they do? Now, no. Sanjay, in one sense, he's putting this question, but Sanjay is, but you yourself have said that they are desirous of fighting. So why are you asking what they did? So why are you asking what they did? So Dhritarashtra, what is in his mind is going, it is a Dharma Kshetra. This place is a holy place. Dharma Kshetra. Shruti says, Kurukshetram Deva Yajanam. Kurukshetra is a place for worshipping the Lord. Brahmana Madhyanini. So the Kurukshetra name came from Maharaj Kuru. And it is mentioned that once Maharaj Kuru was plowing this place. And Indra came and distracted him. Why are you doing this, But Maharaj Kuru continued. And Indra kept on coming and distracting, but he did not get distracted. Because he knew that by performing any yagya here, one can attain the heavenly planets. So Kurukshetra Deva Yajanam. And even for the Devatas, if they have to perform a yagya, they select the place Kurukshetra. That is the glory of Kurukshetra. The glory of Kurukshetra is given in many places and many, even Upanishads, it is mentioned about it. It is famous as a place which produces dharma. Due to association with this great place, the evil Duryodhan and company may give up their anger and take to the path of dharma. So Kimma Kurvata, Sanjay, although they have desires to fight, but what did they do? Because Dhritarashtra in his heart, he's hiding his inner intentions and he's not expressing it externally. But internally, he's thinking, oh, because Kurukshetra is a Dharma Kshetra and his sons are adharmic. But because it's a dharmic place, maybe they have changed their mind and they might give up half of the kingdom to the Pandavas. He did not want that. The Pandavas are naturally following dharma. Then both sides would have intelligence to see that they should not kill their own relatives and friends and would negotiate peace. So if peace happens, externally Dhritarashtra might be happy. He might show happiness, but internally he'll not be happy because internally he was very attached to his kingdom. Dhrita Rashtra. So the term Dhrita Rashtra has a twofold meaning. Dhrita and Rashtra. So Dhrita means one who is attached to his kingdom. That is the personification that is. It has a negative connotation, but Dhrita can also mean firm. One who holds on very firmly. That means he protects the Rashtra. So here Dhritarashtra is used in a negative connotation. So being very attached, Dhritarashtra, he was envious of the Pandavas. He did not want any truce to happen on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He thought what? Externally, he desired to show Sanjay that he would be relieved if this were so, that there would be peace. Internally, however, he found it hard to restrain his depression, for if there were a conciliation, then it would be difficult for his sons to claim a kingdom. He wanted the entire kingdom to come to his sons. And then what Dhritarashtra was thinking, as Bhishma, who is on our side, cannot be defeated by Arjuna, it is better that we fight, let that happen. So Dhritarashtra thought, because Bhishma is very powerful, he will be able to annihilate the Pandavas and we will have victory and the kingdom will be to my sons. So he wanted the battle to happen internally, but externally he was showing as though, if there is peace, it's good because it is Kshitra. But internally he did not want peace to happen. His idea was that let the battle happen and we will be victorious because of Bhishma. Now this, very act, what it is called in Sanskrit, anyone knows? Raise your hands. This kind of mentality, what is it called? Anyone knows? Kindly raise your hands. What is it called? It's very famous. Externally, you're exhibiting something, showing, and internally, something else is there. Yes. Okay. Abhishek Prabhu.
Uh, Dambha. This is
Damba
being
is pride, Prabhu.
oh,
Damba
not
is
that.
pride. Externally, you're showing, you're
To
feeling something else, but internally, please don't type anything. Only raise your hands. Don't use the chat box except if the audio is not working. Shri Lalita Sumukhi Mataji. Yes. What is it called?
Prabhu, I'll try. I don't know if it's right. Is it Kutinati?
Yes, it is Kutinati, duplicity. This is Rajniti, politics. Externally you show something, internally you have something else. So Dhritarashtra is the personification of Kutinati. It was not suitable, however, to show such desires externally. Andar kuch, bahar kuch. There is a hidden meaning to the word Kshetra, field, in the phrase Dharma Kshetra. So this is the inner meaning which he gives to the phrase Kshetra. The field was a place for growing the grains of Dharma in the form of pious Yudhishthira, who was the very incarnation of Dharma along with his supporters, that is, other Pandavas. Of the field, the place for exerting oneself in the work of cultivation, was a place in which Krishna, the nourisher of Dharma, would encourage Yudhishthira. That Krishna is a farmer. The field, a place where many projects like blocking irrigation dukes and watering was a place where Krishna would assist Yudhishthira in many ways to establish the grains of Dharma. The same field is also a place for weeds to grow. So the weeds also grow along with the grains of Dharma. The weeds, enemies of the grains in the form of Duryodhana and others, also grew there but would be destroyed by Krishna. So metamorphically, if you see Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, the Kurukshetra is compared to the field, and the pious Yudhishthira and others are the grains of Dharma. And the adharmic, which are the weeds, are in the form of the sons of Dhritarashtra, that is Duryodhana and all this party. And just like, a farmer, Krishna is the farmer who cuts the weeds. He will destroy the adharmic Kauravas and establish Dharma through Yudhishthira Maharaj. The weeds, enemies of grain in the form of Duryodhana and others, also grew there but would be destroyed by Krishna. Okay, text 2. Now, as I'm discussing, generally I'll try to finish a section and then take up for question answers. But you are free to raise your hands as we are discussing these verses. Today we'll be just discussing maybe three, four verses. Tomorrow onwards, it will require. This is very short because there is no much commentary in many of the much verses. So within 2, 3 days we'll finish, and then second chapter will be quite elaborate. Sanjay उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्य उपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. Sanjay said, seeing the array, Drushtva Yudam, of the Pandava troops, Pandavanikam, Duryodhan, Tada Raja Duryodhan, approached his teacher Drona, Acharya Pasangamya, and spoke these words, Vachanam Abravit. So Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay the question, that in Dharmashetra, which is a Kurukshetra, Mamaka and Pandavascheva, both my sons and the sons of Pandavas, he discriminated that we can see there. Samaveta Yutsava, they have come to fight. Kim Akurata, what did they do? That means he was internally fearing that, there should not be peace. But externally he was showing, no, if there is peace, then I'll be happy. But he did not want that. So he was hiding his inner feelings. But Sanjay, in his reply, he answered, he understood the inner feelings of Dhritarashtra. He understood, don't worry, there is no truce, there is no peace negotiation which is going to happen. The war is definitely going to happen. Dhritarashtra is very happy hearing that the war is definitely going to happen, but the results will be opposite of what you are thinking. That Sanjay will not, you know. So battle is going to happen. That's what he explained. Drushtva to Pandava, seeing the Pandava army arrange. Anikam means a particular arrangement of the military. Yudha, in the view Rachana, Duryodhan, what he did, he is addressed as Raja. He was not, but he is here addressed here because of his Rajniti, which will be, his expertise in Rajniti, which will come up. Approached his teacher Dronacharya, Acharya Upasangamya, and spoke these words, Vachanam Abravit. Now, Vishnu Chakra Thakur, in his commentary, I will not be going into what Prabhupada in his commentary and Baldev Vidyabhushan, both flow are same. They, comment, from a different perspective. I will just be going into Vishnu Chakra Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary because they present a different perspective. So we will stick to that. So Duryodhana approached his teacher Dronacharya, the commander-in-chief. Of course, it was Bhishma, but his teacher is Dronacharya. The two reasons he approached was, one is out of fear. Drushtva to Pandavanikam, seeing the huge army of the Pandavas. Array, the Pandavas were 13 years in exile in the forest. How did they collect such a huge army? With a huge arrangement. He became fearful. So out of fear, when you are in fear, you take shelter. So Duryodhan approached Drona there out of fear. The second reason why Duryodhan approached Drona was because externally he wanted to give respect to his teacher, but he wanted to also incite his teacher and use his Rajniti so that Drona will fully participate in the war. And that he will start doing. Raja Vachanam Abravit. Here, Raja Vachanam Abravit is Duryodhan who is going to speak. There is no Duryodhan Vacha in the Bhagavad Gita, but at least Dhritarashtra, later on took the shelter of the Lord and he was delivered by Vidura. But Duryodhan, died miserably. So there is no Duryodhan Vacha only in the Gita. So, two reasons. One is out of fear, and externally he wanted to show his respect, but he wanted to, use his political words in order to incite the anger of Duryodhana. Pashyatam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamu Yudam Dupata Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Oh Acharya, See this great army. Pashyetam mahatim chamom. This great mahatim pashya. He's approaching the Acharya and saying, see this great army. Why the Acharya cannot see the, you know, army, what he can see. In fact, the Acharya gives eyes to the student, but now the student is coming and telling the Acharya, see, this is his political words. The sons of Pandu Putannam, arrange for battle, Yudam, by your intelligent disciple, Tava Dhimata Shishena, the son of Drupad Putrena. So he uses the word Drupad Putrena because he wants to incite the anger of Drona, because Drona and Drupad had enmity. So Vishnu Thakur, for both these, he writes a commentary. Understanding that Dhritarashtra wanted war, Sanjay then spoke to make him aware that there would be war. But the results would be the opposite of the fulfillment of his desires. Duryodhan, seeing the arrangement of troops, Yudam became prepared, being prepared by the Pandavas, then speaks, revealing his inner fears in 9 verses, starting from the third verse. So, starting from the third verse till the 11th verse, actually, Duryodhan is revealing his fear. Because Drushtva tu Pandavanikam Yudam Acharya Upasangame. I give the example, just like the child is playing in the garden, you know, the child to come out in playing the ball, and suddenly there is a lightning, and the child becomes fearful, and he comes running towards the father, and the father, father, give me chocolate. But actually, the child came towards the father not for the chocolate. He came out of fear of the thunder lightning. So similarly, Duryodhan, approached externally Dronacharya out of respect, but internally he was fearful. And his fear is revealed in these 9 verses. So this is Vishwanath Thakur's perspective, which he presents. I told you, he goes into the inner feelings in the heart of what is happening, especially in the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. But here he is also revealing what is happening in the heart of Duryodhan. So this huge army, Vyudam, Yud Rachana, it's in fear that they are very powerful, they might defeat, but I want to win because that was his this. So that's why he criticizes. He criticizes Dronacharya. He tells him that he is very foolish because Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupad, was arranging the troops of the enemy. And he did not use the term Drishtadyumna, but he said Drupada. That person was Drona's student, having been taught by him, even knowing that he was born to kill him. See, he's actually saying Tava Shishyena Dhimata. You know, he's your intelligent disciple, but it's your foolishness that you taught him because he has now arranged, and that is against my agenda, political agenda of winning the battle because he's becoming an obstacle. And who is indirectly responsible? It's not Drishtadyumna, it is you because you taught him. So the whole history is what King Drupad was supposed to give part of his kingdom to Drona. Both Drupad and Drona were friends during the Gurukul time. Then they divided, and Drupad being a king became a king. Drona was a poor Brahmana, and once, he did not have a cow to even feed his child milk. So he went, and in the palace, my friend, yes, what kind of friendship? Friendship is among equals. So he insulted Drona. And Drona, after being appointed as a military teacher for the Kauravas and Pandavas, after the teaching was over, the Guru Dakshina, he asked, "But how can I arrest him?" First, the Kauravas tried to defeat it, but the Pandavas, along with Arjuna, they defeated him, and half of their kingdom was taken off Drupad. So this is the background. As he was less powerful, he performed a sacrifice to obtain a son who will kill Drona. Drishtadyumna and Draupadi emerged from that fire. So because he was half of his kingdom was taken and he was less powerful, he performed a yajna by which he could kill Drona. And in that yajna, Drushtadumna was born. And he was like, with his arrow and bow and arrow quivering, he was shooting, And along with that Avati, also Draupadi came out. A celestial voice proclaimed that his son would kill Drona in the future. The news spread, but Drona did not mind. Although Drona knew that he will be killed by Drushtadumna, but being a Brahmana, he did not, withdraw himself from teaching the skills. This is the quality of a Brahmana. He is fearless. He is always surrendered. When Drushtadumna approached him to learn the art of weaponry, Drona taught him. Drushtadumna is very intelligent. This is a footnote given by Bhanu Swami Maharaj in this translation. Must be there in the commentary also. He has gained the knowledge of how to kill you from you yourself as enemy. See what will finally result from this greatly act in the future. Now he sees Shishyan, so he's inciting. His fear is coming out now in this verse, third verse onwards. Okay, so time is up. Sorry. So for we will have our discussion from tomorrow. Any questions, any clarifications you have up till now? There's one hand raised. No. Any questions you have up till now? Uh, yeah. Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue. I think we'll require only 2 days to. There are few very relishing commentaries in the first chapter by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. One is the 24th, 25th verse. I think those are the only two verses. But rest we can go through very quickly and finish. Second chapter onwards is more interesting, which we will. Second chapter will take a long time also, at least 12 to 15 classes, and then it will become more interesting. Second chapter is very, very interesting. The way he presents it. Of course, that time we will bring out again how Vishwanath Chakravarti is presenting the Gita from the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective and from Shuddha Bhakti, because it's his commentary is very, very unique. You know. Yes, Subir Prabhuji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Gurudhanatha. Prabhu, seeing that, Prabhupada's commentary and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, both are from different perspective. So, as a student, how do we relate both the commentary? Do we need to, uh, uh, I mean, uh, cross study and, I mean, or it should be studied separately? How we should approach?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I think we should have taken one class on the different perspectives of Gita. Basically, we have to understand the Acharya's right commentary based on time, place, and circumstances. Desh, Kala, Patra. And traditionally, the Acharyas who wrote commentaries was for their students who would have already studied Sanskrit, 12 years of Sanskrit, and they're well versed with it. That's how, and especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is for, I mentioned, the audience is only the Gaudiya Vaishnava, you know, community. He wrote his commentary only from the Gaudiya Vaishnava community and presenting the Siddhanta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, that's why perspective is quite unique. And that's why we need to approach and study that from that perspective, from that lens only. Otherwise, sometimes, what we do is, we just see in one verse, how Prabhupada is commented and how Vishwanath Chakravarti and try to take some points and find some nectar. that initially is okay, but in the long run, if we don't understand the approach of the Acharya and the perspective of the Acharya, the unique way of his presentation and style, and study from that, then we cannot relish much. Now, Prabhupada's commentary to the Gita is very, very unique because one is Prabhupada's audience are, you know, the whole world, which is very, very unique. And Prabhupada is basically trying to, it is the English audience, not the audience who are studied in Sanskrit, It's a whole world because he wants everyone to come to the point of human and spiritual values and ultimately take up to bhakti, which is the highest form of yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. So from that perspective, Prabhupada is presenting and he's the Bhakti Acharya. So the bhakti related verses which are there in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada emphasizes more, if you see. And Prabhupada presents, the purpose of his writing the commentary is ultimately to make one a pure devotee. Ultimately, he presents the end conclusion of the Gita, which is there. Krishna presents it in the end, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, that systematically is developed, and both Baldev Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Thakur approach that way. But Prabhupada, that he makes it clear right in the first, first chapter itself. In the first beginning verses of his commentary only, he makes it very, very clear. And if you see, most of the acharyas have not commented on the first chapter at all. But Prabhupada has commented a lot because we are all in lamentation and illusion, Vishad. You know. So Prabhupada has written a lot of purports in the first chapter, which none of the acharyas have written. Because the need for yoga was quite evident in the olden times. But now it is, now the need is not felt. So he has emphasized a lot in his purports. That's why you see almost for most of the verses, Prabhupada writes a commentary. But most of the acharyas have hardly commented on the verses in the first chapter. So Prabhupada's unique style is that he's presenting the end ultimate conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, that is Bhakti and Sarvadharman picture, in all his purports. Whereas there is a systematic progression happening in the Gita, that's how Krishna is also presenting. And there are these different types of yoga. Previously the students were studied in different darshans and they could critically analyze and, you know, after studying the Gita, come to the conclusion that actually the highest yoga is Bhakti Yoga. But Prabhupada makes it clear right from the beginning. He doesn't want us to, nobody can do that kind of study, that kind of mimamsa, critical analysis. We are not trained in that. So that's why we see that, even in third chapter, Prabhupada says Bhakti, second chapter Bhakti, fourth chapter Bhakti, because he gives the Bhakti conclusion. So that's why when we study Prabhupada's Gita, what it really does is that ultimately we take up to the practice of Bhakti. We take up to the practice of Bhakti, but ultimately to go into the subtleties of Bhakti and come to the point of Shuddha Bhakti, there are different shades of Bhakti. There is Mishra Bhakti, there is Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, all that, it takes 10-15 years. And then we start understanding, and that kind of understanding is also required for us as we practice over a period of time and then go deeper into Bhakti. So that's why both are required, and you know, first of all, one should solidly study many years Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita for many, many years, many times, I recommend. And then one should make a complete study of the Acharya, especially Vishwanath Chandra Thakur's, I recommend, so that they can study his perspective and more relish and more appreciate what Prabhupada has given. So that's the way we should go. Is it okay, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other clarifications? Any other questions anyone has? Sumit Kapoor Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah. Those who would like to leave, they are free to leave. We can continue with little question answers some more time. Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, as you mentioned in your this class that it is assumed that the people who are joining this class, because we are going to the Acharya's commentary, so we should have read Prabhupada commentary very deep, like 10, 15 times. So, if someone has not done that, so would this help, or this would confuse?
No, definitely. Uh, our aim is that we relish, the Acharya's commentary when it is presented to us. At the same time, it should inspire us to study Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita,
Mm.
you know, more deeply, more deeply. This is what happened to me. I'm just sharing that, you know, around 2003, I joined, 2002 and I started hearing the Bhakti Shastri only that time from VIG. 2005 till 2005, I heard the Bhakti Shastri. And then from 2005 to 2013, practically every day I was studying the Gita.
Mm.
The Gita is a book which you should always have in your hand. Whether you go to office, you go anywhere, you should have it with you. Because when you are having in your hand, then, array, let me open it at least. You are traveling in the train, you're traveling in the bus, you're traveling in the plane, you should have the Gita with you. That's what Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj used to tell. Carry the Bhagavad, pocket, the mini Bhagavatam, like that, the Gita. So as I studied, and then the subtleties and the flow in the Gita started becoming more evident, and then I started looking for a teacher to study deeply the Gita. That time I was recommended to study the Acharya's commentary to have a deeper insight. And with their blessings and the blessings of spiritual master, when I studied the Acharya's commentary, it was more like a not an organized way, systematic way, and it was more like for nectar hunting. But then I realized, no, that's not the purpose. The purpose is to really dive and relish the Gita. So then, when I got a deeper insight, then I went back to the Bhaktivedanta purports and I could understand more deeply the Bhaktivedanta purports.
Okay.
And that took some time. And now, that harmony has happened
Mm.
to understand that, Hare, Prabhupada has given his purports and we have to go deep and dive into those purports. So basically, if now we have joined this course, I would recommend that you should, go through this entire course, 18 chapters, and then study the Prabhupada's Gita more deeply. And then, also study what Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying and how you can see, appreciate how Prabhupada has given that same thing, to the audience now so that they can really take up to Shuddha Bhakti. So, like that, my appreciation for the Bhaktivedanta purports, in fact, multiplied many times. So, that should be our mood, and not that, we are surpassing the acharyas. And no, ultimately, Prabhupada is our founder acharya, and that will be the standard, gold standard for us. But to more go deeper into bhakti and more relish bhakti, Prabhupada himself, after writing the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, in fact, he wrote his first commentary, which it was, ultimately for a tea, it was sold, and we don't know, nobody has seen what that commentary was. But later on, Prabhupada had already commented on the Gita, and it was only published when he went to US.
Mm.
But Prabhupada himself wanted to write another commentary. He himself wanted to write another commentary from another perspective. So one should also study. That's why the previous acharyas, and to some degree, there are many contemporary, commentaries also written within ISKCON. One should study that also from the application sense to deeply apply the teachings. That is very helpful, and we can relish the different shades and the meanings. And Krishna is Akhil Rasamrit Murti. From any side you see, you can relish. So that's the point we should come to. We should relish the Gita. And when we come to the point of studying and relishing Gita, then that is our goal. So we should come to that point where get a taste for studying Prabhupada's Gita and Bhagavatam. Okay?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Purushottam Prasad Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Yes.
So thank you for the nice introduction about Bhagavad Gita. And it is more clearly emphasizing about the Bhakti Yoga and a brief introduction about karma and jnana. Prabhu, actually what I supposed to clarify, you already explained. And further, as I said, Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita as it is our textbook for the whole life. Whereas other Acharya's books are like reference books, because in Prabhupada commentary itself, he has covered most of the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurji commentaries, Sridhar Goswami's commentaries. He covers most of them. But yet, to have more taste, that we can keep it. That is my understanding. That's my understanding. Is that correct, Prabhuji?
Basically, Prabhupada write in the Bhagavatam, in his Bhagavatam commentary in the first verse 111, Janmadyasyata, he writes a very elaborate commentary, and then he says that many great acharyas have written commentaries like, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, Jeev Goswami, and one would better relish, these commentaries given by the previous acharyas. That's what Prabhupada says. So basically, the point is that we need to, study the Bhaktivedanta purports, the Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's our main meal. And just like in the main meal, there is chutney, there is, a sweet item which we really relish the meal. So the Acharya's commentaries help us to relish and give more appreciation to what we have really got. So Prabhupada also wanted that his devotees relish the commentaries of the previous Acharyas. So both things have to be done. Is it okay?
Okay, bro. But just to add for that, further, yes, the Acharya's commentaries, as Prabhupada said that, so it shows his humility that I am not greater than any other Acharyas, as well as for others to carefully approach the Vaishnava etiquette, that not surpassing the Guru.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
is what I
also
said. Basically,
indirectly,
that's what I said. Basically, first one has to study the Bhaktivedanta purport thoroughly, understand the philosophy, and then with the blessings of the Shiksha Gurus or your counselors, your spiritual mentors and spiritual masters, one should take the blessings and uh, study them to better relish,
yeah,
what we have in the
yeah.
Sampradaya.
Sure, bro. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Shri Lalita Sumki Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I know you'll discuss this in the later thing, but just to have an idea, Gunibhuta Bhakti is what, Prabhu?
Gunibhuta Bhakti is where Bhakti is not Pradhan, but Karma is Pradhan, or Jnana is Pradhan, or Yoga is Pradhan, and there is only a small element of Bhakti.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
So Bhakti takes a secondary role completely.
Okay.
That's why it's called as Gunibhuta. And that's why the process is not called as Bhakti only at all. It is called as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Because Karma is
Okay.
Pradhan, or Jnana is
Okay.
Pradhan, or Yoga is
Done.
Pradhan. But within that, there is the Bhakti element. And that Bhakti element only gives the fruit of Karma, Jnana, or Yoga. So that is why it's called Guni Bhukta Bhakti. Bhakti within the
Yes.
modes it is. In fact, so Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti is where Bhakti is Pradhan, but there is a mixture of Karma or Jnana, which is what is called as Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or Karma Jnana Mishra Bhakti is also there. So all these different shades will come out, especially in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is presenting from the perspective of Shuddha Bhakti definition, Anya Vilashita Shunyam. So he will bring out that. So the more one understands Mishra Bhakti, then he can understand what is the difference between Mishra and Shuddha. So that's why that study is also very important.
Yes, Prabhu.
If you have been
Thank you.
only eating sweets which are not made of pure ingredients and you think this is the real sweet, but when pure ingredient sweets are made and you have never tasted that, so you'll not know what is pure devotion. So we need to know what is pure devotion, we need to know what is mixed devotion.
Yes.
So that's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to distinguish between these different types of bhaktis and bring out, the topmost as Uttama Bhakti.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you,
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, so thank you very, very much. Grantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So we'll meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna.